Good evening. Hello, guys. Welcome to another Glamour Live. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, guys, for joining us. Thank you for being here on Easter Friday Eve, actually. Easter Friday Eve. I am Molife Kumona, the online editor for Glamour. We are speaking to musician and television presenter Mahalia Buchanan, who's going to be joining us in a few minutes. We're just going to request for Mahalia to join our live. It's going to be a really cool and exciting live we have for you. Thank you guys for joining us. We're just waiting to connect with Mahalia and we can get our chat going. Please let me know if the network is not so great, because in our previous interview, actually, apparently. Hi.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm very well, thanks. I hope you're doing good too.
Good, thanks. Sincerest apologies for being a few minutes late. I was just setting up my network. It wasn't so great. Can you hear me properly?
I can.
Cool. Mahalia, how do I pronounce your surname?
I actually heard you butcher it there for a while. Buchanan.
Buchanan.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Apologies for that, because I was trying to figure out how do I pronounce it. And I was looking through videos to see where they've said your surname.
No, it's
so that I thank you so much. Cool. So thank you for joining us on Easter Friday Eve. We're totally happy that you've managed to make time for us. So let's just start off with the lockdown. I mean, I ask this question to almost everyone I speak to. Like, how has it affected your life and how have you been dealing with it?
Wow. Well, the lockdown literally happened when we least expected it to happen. With so little time to prepare, especially for people like us who are creatives and everything we do literally revolves around being outside. Um, it took a lot of getting used to, but I guess there's some perks about the whole lockdown, but the challenging part for us is that everything we do literally requires for us to be on the outside with people, especially in terms of income. But I mean, it's forced us to literally, sorry about that, it's forced us to literally sit down and plan. Sorry about that. It's literally forced us to sit down and plan, and to literally just be more intentional about the things that we do.
Okay. And so the COVID itself, when when did you find out about it? Sorry, your screen is a bit blurry, so I don't know if you can perhaps. It's slightly blurry. Yeah, okay, it's getting better now. Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So in terms of COVID itself, when did you find out about it, and what has it done for you as a Christian to your? Has it made it stronger? What has happened?
Well, I mean, we've all literally been hearing about COVID-19 for, I mean, the past month or so. And I mean, it hasn't really hit South Africa. At the time, it hadn't really hit South Africa as hectic as the rest of the world. I mean, I was in the UK before the president actually made the speech for everybody to come home because there might be, a potential lockdown. Even at that time, I guess, there was really not much of a panic because we were hoping that it would be something that would, just pass by quicker. But I mean, the reality of everything is that we're actually in the middle of a pandemic.
That's true.
I would have never known or even imagined that I would literally live to be a part of something that affects us not just socially, economically, mentally.
Everyone.
It's yeah,
Mhm.
but we just we keep strong faith. And I mean, for me as a Christian, to literally put my trust and faith in God, knowing that he won't leave us. He won't leave us alone through this. We'll make it out through this. We just need to keep our faith, really rooted in God.
Is it? And what do you spend your days doing now? What do you spend your day? part of your
You
career
know,
involves being out, even with the show on One Gospel. What do you spend your days doing now? The past, it's been 13 days, right? Or like, I'm not sure myself.
yes, it's 13.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's been longer because I had to
Mm.
come back and I had to self-isolate.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, yes, yes.
I had to
So it's,
self-isolate.
wow.
Yeah.
It's probably over 20 days.
Yes, way over
Yeah.
20 days for me. So it's literally been the most with I even had to have a COVID test check because mentally I felt like I was getting symptoms. It was just the most. But thank heavens I'm good. Um I mean for me I definitely say that it is, such a time for self-discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Uh we spend our days so busy and we actually don't realize how much we slave away.
That's,
um we slave away, we slave ourselves so hard to pay the rent, for food, for just our monthly necessities. We slave ourselves so hard. And I mean, when was the last time that you literally just sat down and actually discovered these are my gifts, these are my talents, these are my skills? How can I strategize again, and just live from a creative space, but not under pressure? So
mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? So I definitely say that it's such a self-discovery time for me where I'm not creating under pressure, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
creating under direction, knowing exactly where I am and listening to what sets my soul on a light during this time. So I definitely
Mm-hmm.
say self-discovery is has been one of the perks for me.
Cool. And so I had to screenshot this when I saw it on your Instagram page. I'm just looking at it so that I can ask you my next question. So you said, and I love it. You said it's just an African girl with big dreams, permanently employed to work for the kingdom of God. I love that. And
Thank you.
when did that journey begin? When did that journey begin for you to be permanently, in this case, employed to work for the kingdom of God? And how has that journey been like for you?
I think we literally all are employed by the kingdom of God. We just don't realize it.
That,
But for me,
yeah, that's true.
literally, to accept the call for me, I definitely say I was 19. The year I just joined Joy Celebration, and I mean, from taking music as a passion, I actually saw how serious just the tool of music is to change and transform people's lives. And I think one of the most amazing things is, having people come back and talk about and tell you testimonies that your music is not just great and you don't just have a great voice, but your music has been such a great tool that has actually changed my life, or your music gives me hope. So I would
Mhm.
definitely say that light bulb moment for me happened when I was 19.
Oh, cool, cool. And you fight for me? You fight for me. I feel like it came at the right time. The video was released this, correct?
Yes, the video is getting released tomorrow. So everybody, please subscribe to my page. Subscribe
Mm-hmm.
to my YouTube channel. The video will be premiering tomorrow at 1 p.m. when everybody's having their Easter lunch.
Mm-hmm.
To just sit around the family. Will be premiering, and they get to see it premiere live.
Cool. And then the song You Fight for Me, can you tell? I feel like it's the right song at the right time. When I was listening to it, I listened to it before, but I haven't seen. I saw clips of the video on your Twitter. It's a song that's at the right time. Can you just take us through that song and how your writing process of it?
Okay, so I mean, firstly, it's the first song under my own record label.
Congrats! That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yes, which is, I
Mm,
mean, is such a surreal moment for me. But I mean, it comes from a place where we know that God fights for us. And I mean, sometimes our challenges become so much that you don't even have a fight left within you. But it's taken from the Bible where God simply just reminds us that, whatever comes to challenge you, I, the Lord your God, who is going before you, will fight for you. And we know when God fights, he wins. He never loses, not even one fight. So
mm.
I'm victorious before the challenge even happened to me because God is fighting for me.
Mm, mm. I think
So
one of
yeah,
this sorry.
say again.
Now, I was saying one of the things I think for me that I also during this COVID thing, I think that first couple of weeks when it was getting serious in South Africa, someone put up a tweet that says, "We all know what happens at the end. God wins."
Yeah,
That
all
it
the
just
time.
that was powerful. That was extremely powerful.
Yeah, yeah. He
And in terms
wins.
of you spoke a little bit about mental health, right? Saying that this has affected mental health for most people, perhaps you as well, when you're just thinking you're getting sick during your isolation time. How have you managed to work around that for you, mental health? What do you do? Stay sane during this pandemic, but just generally as a person.
To be honest with you, I mean, there's a lot of negativity going around that sparks panic and anxiety. So I've also
Mm,
tried as much to limit the text that I receive on WhatsApp because,
mm,
oh my God,
mm,
sometimes they just spark panic. The news as well. We can watch the news to be informed, but I believe it's very important that you filter things.
mm,
Because it's very important to filter information, but also daily to play music in your house. There's nothing, like music. Music just soothes you and puts you in the perfect state of mind. Reading, I've been studying a lot. I've been on YouTube just learning new skills. So I've definitely, kept busy to keep away from all of this anxiety.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
And so you were for the early part of your career, you were
Yeah.
known through Joy Generation, and then you branched off to be a solo artist. So my question: how easy or difficult was it to leave an outfit that's so huge and your name is tied to that particular brand? And what can you advise to an artist as well, a young female artist, male artist who is wanting to branch off from whatever it is that kind of has their brand tied to it or their name?
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, I literally left at the right time. It's
Mm,
also very important to know when to leave,
mm,
and how to leave. I mean, I was with the group for about 7 years. It definitely was time
mm,
for me to leave and make space for new talent to come.
mm,
But I would say it definitely is, a step of faith. It definitely is a step of faith. But at the time, I knew that I left. I knew that I had learned everything that I needed to learn. I knew that I
mm,
was ready to jump. I knew
mm,
that when I needed information on whatever thing that might be challenging, I could always go back to our
yeah.
seniors, and they were always, so willing to help us. So it's very important. I think it's the when and the
Mm,
how is the most important thing for you to know. But also just look, I mean, we all should desire growth. And I think for me, it's always been about that, to desire growth. And it was just the right time for me to leave. Couldn't stay there forever.
and how was it as a solo your early days as a solo artist? What were some of the teething problems or some of the small wins that when you look back now, you're just like, hey, I stayed on path because of this?
Wow. Okay, firstly, I mean, it's for the passion and the love that definitely
Uh-huh.
kept. But if there's one thing that I hope that people would just change, is to take
Uh,
serious what gospel artists do. Stop asking for favors and saying God bless you and hallelujah, amen. Doesn't pay the bills, Pastor.
uh,
Let's stop.
mm,
you know, in my earlier years, of course, I had to deal with the God bless you, zidi ing ing ing, but not anymore. But my love for what I do has definitely kept me.
it's kept you going. And
Yeah.
you just did your first, you fight for me.
Yeah.
Is it single or is it an album? Because someone was just asking, what's the name of your next project?
No. The next project, we're gonna do that hopefully when this pandemic passes over. When
Yeah.
I tell you I am even more ready for this next album, I am full. I can't wait
Uh,
to release. what is in my heart. Oh my God, I can't wait for the next album. Uh, this, however, is just a single, just literally an introduction. I explored a little with the sound. I mean, I have an all-American band playing on the album, on the song.
Uh-huh.
Yes, so we explored a little bit with the sound, trying to just expand a little bit more and, go global with the sound. So that has also been some of the most amazing things as well. And just to see the global market responding to this as well has been very amazing for me.
Is it? And how difficult was it to start your own record label? Like to
Very
how the process like? I can only imagine, but how was it?
extremely difficult.
How long? When did the journey start?
Well, I mean, I've always been entrepreneurial for like even my since my school days. Like I was that girl who used to sell things at school. I was literally that girl. So I always knew that this would definitely be something that I do. But I mean, to acquire the necessary knowledge, it literally, I think after my debut album, I knew that this is the direction that I wanted to take because I had everything that I needed to, that I, they're distracting comments. I'm so sorry.
My wife.
So, but I definitely knew that
Maybe
it,
it's a marriage proposal live.
if he's proposing marriage, you must tell us. Yeah. So the journey literally started for me about 2 years ago. And I've just been working on, just putting systems in place and making sure that, yeah, that I'm in good standing tax wise and all that.
And what's the name of your label? What's the
So
is it the label?
yeah, then it's called Halley Space Records. Halley Space is literally a holdings company that does a whole lot of things. I'm going to be venturing into amazing things that I don't want to, tell at this time, but we're definitely going to be doing amazing, amazing, amazing things.
One Gospel. I Before I'd seen you presenting, I didn't know you had that in you. You're a great presenter. Like, okay, Mahalia is a presenter. Like, when did that, have you always known you wanted to be a presenter or did the opportunity come? You're like, you know what, I'm going to do this.
I always knew that it was something that I definitely would do. My journey with One Gospel goes way back. I started, I think the first time I presented a show on One Gospel, I was 24.
Oh,
Um, yeah, it was a show presented by Carly Fields, the YoTV presenter, and she had moved into production and they were looking for a new presenter. And I auditioned and I made it. So, I mean, that has always been something that was sparked in me until the latest show that I present on One Gospel is literally my concept, a show that I conceptualized called Destiny, where we
yes.
literally, invite people across genres, across the gospel who would come in and tell their inspiring stories and just, in the hope of planting a seed of purpose in people. So, I mean, this presenting thing goes way back.
And how was that process as well? And the reason why I'm asking for the process, I want to, if someone is watching, and because sometimes as people, we see the finished product and we don't understand that there's actual like grunt, a lot of work behind that. How was the process to be an executive producer of the show, to create the show, and be a presenter? What was that like, and what are some of the things you learned that you can share with people?
Okay. For me, firstly, I would say, I'm such a hustler. I'm such a hustler. If I could tell you how the show came about, you won't believe me. Um, at the time, I didn't even have a show. And somebody who was actually in charge at Urban Brew passed it. I said, hey, I actually have a new show that I'd like to present to you guys. At the time, I didn't even know how to put things together. My friend Akumzi literally helped us
Yeah.
put everything together in terms of how do you present, how do you pitch, what do you want to do, what your angles are. So for me, I'm a chancer. I'm gonna bug you until you say yes. So that's that's how it came about. And I mean, we were really fortunate to have an amazing team at One Gospel who believed in the vision, and just amazing producers as well who just carried the heart of the show.
So outside of the limelight, who's Mahalia in terms of is 'cause someone just asked how old are you? Where does Mahalia come from? Like who's this lady who inspires us, who really gives us amazing music and we watch on TV? Who's Mahalia?
Guys, you know, I'm such a gassy girl. Hey, I'm that girl.
Where do you grow up?
I grew up in
Where do you,
Eldorado Park. I grew up in the hood. So,
but the way you said the herd, that's not like hood, that's like the hood.
what should I say? How should I say it? School me.
I don't know, but it's a herd. It's like very not
Okay,
Cassie.
they're hood.
Okay.
So I had a very interesting background. My
Uh-huh.
stepdad, my stepdad lived in Soweto, and
Yeah.
I grew up of course, in Alvarado Park.
Mm.
So I would spend my weekends in Soweto, between Soweto and Alvarado Park. This is as like a young child. So I would say,
Uh,
like I said to you, I'm literally a gassy girl. Like you put me in any set, I adapt. You take me
uh,
to the Kota, I'm there. You take me to Mautwana, I am there. You take me to the funeral, Emlyn Delweni, I'm
uh,
busy cooking. I'm that girl. I'm literally that girl.
and musically, who inspired you? So who inspired you to get into music professionally? When you said I can do this professionally, there are a lot of people who can sing, who have tried out music, and they can sing, but then they veer to other career paths. For you, who inspired you musically, and when was that moment? Obviously, I know it would be joyous at 19, but when was that moment you're like, you know what, this is my calling, this is what I want to do, this is where God has placed me.
To be honest with you, I was not even inspired by gospel.
Mm,
I grew up in a staunch Christian home, but I
mm,
was not even inspired to sing gospel. I would definitely say like your Destiny's Child. We'd start these groups at home, and I'd be Beyonce.
uh,
So, I mean, yeah, I always thought that I'd sing something totally different than gospel, like your typical R&B or your laid
mm,
back jazz,
mm,
world music. Um, but I would definitely say what had sparked me to make that decision to go into gospel
mm.
was, I mean, I started actually before Joyous. I started with Benjamin Dube,
Oh
and
yeah.
the seed was planted there. The seed was
Mm,
literally planted there for me until I worked with Dovozo, and
mm,
that was just a that was just a yes, a yes. You know
mm.
what? You don't. This is exactly where you need to be. You can't run away from this call. God has called you greater, and what you have in your heart is worth sharing. So I think, yeah, literally working and being in that environment, uh, that love just literally got awakened.
Cool. And someone is asking you, when are you coming to Nigeria again, Mahalia? After lockdown?
Definitely after the lockdown. You guys must invite me to come. I'll definitely come.
And in terms of the business side, I mean, I know you spoke a bit. The business side of gospel music, what is that like? Because I think a lot of us, like you just said, it's like we see you as ministers, but we forget the other part that the clothes you wear, the band, the backup singers and all that. What's that business side like? And when did you really learn that you know what this is business?
Do you know what the thing is? I think for me, the biggest challenge here is we do gospel music, but the gospel is free, but it is not cheap. And
Uh,
I think it is not cheap. And I think there's a notion where, shame, bantu benkosi, baculi gospel, let's not pay them. That notion needs to change. There's a
mm,
lot, I mean, there's a big team that needs to get paid. There's PR, there's
mm,
marketing, there's a
yes.
band, there's a
Mm,
stylist, makeup artist, there is writers, uh,
Mm.
recording engineers, mixing engineers, people that master the album, graphic design. It's a whole list of people that need to be paid. And we can't do God bless you, you know? So, I mean, those are the realities of the industry. The industry is the same. The challenge is that we sing gospel music, and it is expected that everything we do should not be treated with high respect in terms of getting the adequate money we need to get.
And Sovereign God, people love that song.
Uh-huh.
It's one of, and one of my friends was asking, like, what is the concept behind the song and the video? Does Sovereign God have a video? Or is
It
it a live?
does. It's on YouTube.
Okay. So what is the concept behind the song and behind the video? So one of my friends really loves that song. It's just like, please ask her about Sovereign God.
Hey friend, thank you for suggesting Sovereign God. Well, anyway, I mean, it was actually a reunion moment for me because I started working with Benjamin Dube when I was 13 years old. And to literally just go back, it felt like such a daddy-daughter moment again. It was for his recording at the Pretoria Sun Arena, and he filled an 8,000 seater.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was really just so amazing to see all of these people come together and just worship the Lord. I'm excited that I got to be a part of that album as well, and I'm just so glad that people are actually loving the song, and I've also been getting a lot of feedback, which is really really so affirming. Yeah.
And then someone is asking here, I just saw the question, it went up. So it's Tony who's asking, please ask Mahalia where she gets her inspiration from to sing the way she does.
My inspiration. I guess it's from the type of music that I listen to. I listen to a lot of international music, a lot of international music across genres. But I gravitate a lot to authenticity. When everything is said and done, no matter how much skill you have, people gravitate to authenticity. And I think for me, that definitely, I gravitate a lot to people who are just authentic in their music. Those are some of the things that inspires me to just release the music the way I feel it and the way I know that it's meant to touch hearts.
Yes. Oh, so I think the person was asked almost the same question. Prosper was asking, please ask Mahalia what's her creative process like?
Wow, my creative process. I would definitely say I do everything that keeps me in a state of mind that I need to create. So
Yeah.
everything that I do, I literally place myself in environments that are going to inspire me back. Be it nature, be it just the business. Sometimes just going to Sandton and seeing people, being inspired, traveling, or being in an airport. Those little things. Yeah, I'm always awakened to creativity. But I would say, in terms of the writing process, like recently, I wrote with a friend of mine. I literally just sent a concept, and I said to him, this is how I'm feeling, and this is what is in my heart to share. So what I do is I take a concept, let's probably say love, and I break down the things that I want to share about love. Love is giving, love is kind, love is merciful, love is not, love is, yeah, all of those little things. So I'd break the thing, I'd break it down and start my writing process from there. Sometimes even use the dictionary to get different synonyms, just to expand our vocabulary in music is also very important, not to say the same things that people have been saying from 1989, so expanding vocabulary as well. That's some of the things that I do.
And Busha is saying, please ask Mahalia what's her take on worship. What's her take on worship?
My take on worship. Somebody said, and I think this is really amazing. Somebody said when we praise, God inhabits our praises, but when we worship, God responds in the room. So I would definitely say, worship is hearing God talk back to us, but not just us talking to God. That's my take on it.
And as for artists, what's your preparation process like when you're going on stage? So, and what do you do when you're going on stage to make sure that whatever you've got is set in your heart is portrayed? Because sometimes you are at a stage where, let's say, it's not necessarily a gospel concert. You're within other artists, and Mahalia is coming on stage to sing for us. What's your process?
Okay, firstly, I mean, whatever I do is through my voice. So I try as much to, be quiet before I'm about to deliver any set, which is very important. What I do is dependent on my voice. Secondly, I psych myself up a lot. So I'd always be in earphones.
Mm.
Constantly just focusing on what it is that I need to do. That be it a podcast, be
Mm.
it music, or just hearing the Bible, like the audio Bible.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Just play like the whole scripture in my ears. So basically, those are some of the things that I do, and just finding alone time to just focus on what it is that I'm about to do.
That's it. And what outside of music? So if you're not recording, if you're not on stage, if you're not writing, what does Mahalia enjoy doing? If you're not performing or reading the Bible, what are the other things you do?
Okay, so I've literally just discovered that I like graphic designing. So all of the graphics that you see on my page are done by me.
Oh wow. Oh nice.
Everything you see on there. So I've literally just discovered graphic designing. Um, yeah, everything I do revolves around that. Family. I love going out as well. So I mean, those are some of the things that I love doing.
Is it? Do you love cooking? Are you one of those who loves cooking, or so? Because I'm an eater. I love to eat, and cooking is like it's hard.
I cook. This is so bad. I cook once in a while, but when I cook, I throw down. Like, listen, I throw down, but I don't always cook. I'm not big on it. When I'm required to, I do though, but I'm not big on it.
Mm. And Monique is asking, Mahalia, do you have a prayer room?
My house is not that big to have a prayer room, but my bedroom is my prayer room.
Mm. And it's Prosper is asking if you could open for a show for any artist, who would it be? Who would it be? That's one. And Prosper also asks, who would you most like to collaborate with?
Beyonce! I'm serious, no joke.
Uh,
I'm serious.
you like to open for Beyonce, you like to
Yes,
collaborate with Beyonce.
both. Why are you laughing? It's my dream.
I didn't expect you to say that. I think in my mind, I don't know what it was. I thought maybe you'd say, I don't know, Yolanda Adams, Sissy Winans.
I want to start Imbuselelo at Beyonce's concert.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay. So, wow. So, what
Sorry.
Okay. I can imagine it. See it, but wow. And okay. So, what are you doing for Easter? What are your plans? Are you on lockdown by yourself, or are you privileged to have family or friends or?
Okay,
So
so I'm not lockdowning. I'm lockdowning with family.
that's good.
So yeah, I'll be with family. I'm so sad that we won't be having church during this time. But I mean, I wrote a story on the other day saying I pray that during this time people definitely, just cultivate worship in their houses and just remember the sacrifice of Jesus and everything Jesus has done for us during time. So with family, in the moment, put your phones away, instead of, what Jesus has done for us. And that's definitely how I'll be spending this time.
Mm. So outside Beyonce's for opening for Beyonce, what are some of your dreams for yourself? What are some of your dreams for yourself?
You know what? I definitely envision filling stadiums for our God and bringing together cultures. I believe God has given me such an amazing gift that, transcends culture and that is able to unite different races. So I definitely see that, filling stadiums and proclaiming the name of our God, and people who would never even desire to be in church would actually be there, a part of these moments. That is as far as I can see from now.
Cool. I was just looking down here to see if there are any questions I forgot to ask you, because I prepared a few questions here. Yes. So this was a really interesting question I thought about. So how do you, as a gospel artist, because I think artists like you have changed that perception, and a whole lot of other the perception that gospel is boring. How do you put in creativity in gospel, but then making sure the message is received and not veering off the actual message? How does that work? Because I can imagine that can be difficult, because there's the gospel, there's you, the artist, there's the audience.
Well, that's such a good question. But I would say to you, I think in the beginning, I struggled with this a lot because I had a lot of external influences, that was big on influencing what I do and how I see things, especially with R&B. There's a certain way you're supposed to look. With that type of music, you sell your music by the way you look.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've discovered, like you said, you can still be hip, happening, and praise God. The message of God is so deep that whatever we do cannot, take away from that. However, there are certain guidelines that we have to follow with making sure that whatever we do is not lost with us trying to be too hip.
Yeah.
So those are some of the struggles that I had in the beginning. But right now, I would definitely say in the beginning, I'm even sure that people didn't really quite understand what it is that I was doing. But because I was persistent in being myself and expressing it the way that I want to, people eventually bought into it because it was that authentic. And I can also just say thank you, that people were that patient to actually, just see what it is that I'm trying to do with the music. I'm grateful to God that eventually they did get it.
And then my last question, and maybe you can sing it just a little bit for us, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
So my last question is, in terms of, so gospel artist, the entertainment industry, how do you balance your beliefs and the industry? How do you make sure that if I call you to come perform wherever, you still uphold what it is that you believe in, and yet I might call you to perform somewhere where how does that work for you?
To be honest with you, there's this new show. I forgot what it's called. It's in Pretoria. I think they recently had Benjamin Dube as well. And I think it's also time for us as gospel artists to understand that God has not only called us to minister to people that are already saved. He's called us to minister to people that need to hear the message of hope. So if I'm invited in any place that does not go against who I am and my beliefs in God, I definitely go there. I definitely go there. If it's they had one, I think, at the Sun Arena where they have like a mixture of both the secular and gospel. I think those are some amazing things. Those are things I definitely love to go. People need to hear about God. And as far as God calls me to go to these places that are not accepted by the Christian community, I will go. I will definitely go.
Absolutely. And then there's a question from Michali that says, do you think South African gospel scene, the listeners, whoever supports sounds besides traditional and contemporary music? I think they are already. I don't know. What's your take?
I didn't get the question.
So Michelle is saying, do you think the South African gospel scene will ever support sounds besides contemporary and traditional music?
We are. Like, we're definitely doing that. I do that. I definitely know about a lot of others that are doing it as well. So I think people definitely are.
Cool. And last thing, what's your message to people who are watching this, who love you? One, two, we're going through this situation that we're going through. What would you like to say?
I definitely would say, during this hard time and the uncertainty that we're in with the COVID-19, I would definitely say that, we all have a responsibility to stay safe, keep ourselves safe, protect our family, and make sure, that we uphold what we need to do in and through this time. We don't know what the next 2 months are going to be for us, but I would definitely, advise people to remain trusting in God and knowing that He will carry us through this. He will never leave us. He'll never leave us alone. So I would just like to encourage people to always do that. And also, don't create under pressure during this time. There's just so many things happening where everybody feels the need to put something out there, but don't create under pressure, but create under direction. If you feel led to do something that you'll be able to maintain even beyond lockdown. So yeah, keep creating, keep discovering yourself, fall in love with your real talents again and your real, your gifts. I believe that there's some perks of this lockdown. So I definitely say, people should just rediscover themselves again and just listen to that voice within them that pushes them alongside purpose. So that's definitely what I leave people with.
Cool. Do you mind singing for us? I don't know, any a cappella, any it's the right.
Oh my God, so I'm not gonna sing long, I'm just gonna sing really short because
definitely.
This is really such an amazing song for me that has carried me. So it goes, you made a way when my back was against the wall and it looked as if it was over. You made a way. And God, we standing here only because you made a way. 'Cause you move mountains and you cause walls to fall with your power. You perform miracles. There is nothing that is impossible. And God, we stand in here only because you made a way.
Mahalia, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Friday, tomorrow, right? 1 p.m., correct?
Yes.
For your song.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So tomorrow, please tune into Mahalia's YouTube. What's the YouTube page name? Is it just Mahalia?
Mahalia Buchanan. They can find the link in my bio. So subscribe to the page, click the bell so that you can be notified. Videos going live tomorrow at 1 p.m. Let's share together and let's chat, and you guys can tell me what you think of the video. And I hope that it just strengthens you.
Cool. Mahalia, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for singing to us. Thank you for making us laugh. A lot of us know you were that funny. We're like, no.
Thank you for having me. It's been amazing.
All right. Have a great evening and a beautiful Easter, and stay safe.
Thank you.
And thank you for just singing for us, making us feel great with all your music.
Thank you. Thank you so much for everybody watching. God bless you. Stay safe. Mwah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.